Do you have any sense that the public should be alarmed about this, that we're seeing these increased reports of these objects? Last week it was a balloon. Now it's these unidentified objects. Turning back to our breaking news at the top of the hour, we now have a statement from the Pentagon on the downing of that aircraft, that unidentified object in Canada earlier today. It says in this statement, following a call between the Prime Minister of Canada and the President of the United States, President Biden authorized U.S. fighter aircraft assigned to NORAD to work with Canada to take down a high-altitude airborne object over northern Canada today. NORAD detected the object over Alaska late Friday evening. The statement goes on to say a U.S. F-22 shot down the object in Canadian territory following close coordination between U.S. and Canadian authorities. It also says, as Canadian authorities conduct recovery operations to help our countries learn more about the object, the Federal Bureau of Investigation will be working closely with the Royal Canadian Mounted Police. More on that as it comes in. In the meantime, back to more serious topics. Canadian forces will lead the recovery operation after a U.S. fighter jet shoots down another high-altitude object, the second in 2 days, and this one in Canadian airspace. That's been happening this afternoon. We've been staying on top with it. Next, we continue to follow the breaking news. For the second time in 2 days, a U.S. fighter jet has shot down a high-altitude, unidentified object. This one was in Canadian airspace. And as for the craft that was shot down yesterday off the coast of Alaska, tell us again about this reporting that you have about these fighter pilots. I guess they were doing this at high speeds, trying to assess what this object was, and they had conflicting accounts of what they saw.
That's right, Jim. So on Thursday, when the U.S. first spotted this object flying near Alaska, they sent up F-35 fighter jets to take a look and kind of see what was going on. And the pilots, were told, gave differing reports back about what they saw. Some said that they believed that this object did interfere with their plane's sensors. Other pilots did not report experiencing that. So that's kind of a differing report there. But then at the same time, some pilots said that they did not understand how this object was actually staying afloat. There was no visible propulsion system. It was very unclear how it was remaining in the air there at about 40,000 feet. So that is part of the reason why the Pentagon has been reluctant to come out and say more about this object until the analysis of the debris can be completed, of course, by the FBI, Jim.
What is going on? This is the latest incident, this third shoot down of a craft. First it was a balloon, now we have these unidentified objects in a week.
You had the incident a week ago where we shot down the Chinese surveillance balloon, who were pretty convinced that that's exactly what that was. And then we start seeing all these other objects. Clearly, the radar operators for NORAD are very sensitive now to anything that even looks remotely like an unusual object in the skies.
And what about this element of Natasha Bertrand's reporting that the pilots had differing accounts as to what they saw? And in this one particular piece of information that she just reported again a few moments ago, which I think might be giving some people the willies, which is the pilots could not ascertain as to what the propulsion system was of this particular object.
Yes. So, Jim, these,
Your thoughts on,
the pilots, as they fly by very quickly, they've got, a few seconds to take a good look at this craft or whatever object this is.
Yeah.
And when you look at that, then you start piecing together, okay, this is what they saw, and then you combine that with the actual forensic evidence of the pieces and parts that we're able to gather from these incidents, and then we can perhaps better ascertain whether or not there really was a propulsion system, whether it just flew along with the wind stream, or if there was some other aspect to this that we don't know about. Are there technologies that are being used that we don't understand yet? All of that is possible, unlikely, but possible, and so those are the things we have to consider.
And the possibility that we might have a foreign power like China or Russia sort of poking and prodding with these objects, how concerning is that from a national security standpoint?
So these are the kinds of things.
These are major no-nos, aren't they?
Well, we do that all the time.
Yeah.
We do it to them, they do it to us. But here's the no-no part. We don't overfly their territory.
This is an object. This is a cylindrical object that we shot down today. It appears to be a cylindrical object.
And could you just explain what you said about the shape of the object again and how it compares to the last item shot down?
In terms of the description of the object, We believe that the object is cylindrical in shape. It appears to be smaller than the one that was shot down off the coast of North Carolina.
But she described this object as being cylindrical in shape, but she didn't offer much more information than that, other than it was shot down over central Yukon at about 40,000 feet. But the term cylindrical stands out to me as just being strange. But breaking news into CNN, we continue to cover the downing of an unidentified object earlier today over the skies of Canada. We are learning that the FAA right now is closing some airspace over Montana for Defense Department activities. That is the latest coming into CNN at this very moment. We're learning the FAA is closing more airspace over Montana.
Sure.
But Colonel Layton, let me ask you this. I mean, this is just damn puzzling. This is just, and I think we need to pause for a moment and say this is just damn puzzling. You have an object shot down off the coast of Alaska yesterday. Government hasn't told us exactly what it is. I know weather and so on. We have an object shot over central Yukon earlier today. The Prime Minister thought this was serious enough to go ahead and shoot it down. And now the FAA is restricting airspace over Montana.